안녕하십니까? 19년차 영어 전문 교육기관 뉴스타를 운영하고 있는 김경린입니다. 자연스러운 접근, 무구처럼 영어 습득하기, 그리고 레벨에 맞는 원서 읽기, 늘 Q&A와 함께하는 저희 영어 원서. 오늘은 3점대에 해당하는 미국 초등학교 한 3학년쯤에 읽을 수 있는 책 마틴 루터 킹을 함께 하시겠습니다. 미국에서 이제 한 6년 정도 초등학교 시절을 보내고 고학년이 됐을 때 이제 한국에 들어온 저희 그 친구가 있었는데 책을 굉장히 좋아했었어요. 그래서 들어왔을 때 이 정도의 책을 읽다가 이제 그 이상의 책을 읽다가 이제 서울로 이사를 갔는데 그 내용을 즐기고 반짝반짝 이 집중해서 읽는 그 모습, 좀 진지하고 뭔가 사고력이 있는 그런 창의적인 모습, 굉장히 매력적이었거든요. 자, 마틴 루터 킹 같이 한번 해보시겠습니다. Martin Luther King Jr. and the March on Washington. 내용을 한번 쭉 같이 흐름 따라 읽어보시겠습니다. 자, August 28th, 1963. It's a hot summer day in Washington, D.C. More than 250,000 people are pouring into the city. They have come by plane, by train, by car, and by bus. Some people have walked all the way to Washington from New York City. It's more than 230 miles. One man has roller skated from Chicago. It has taken him 11 days. By late morning, a crowd has gathered at one end of a long, narrow pool. Nearby is the Lincoln Memorial with its statue of Abraham Lincoln. Why are so many people here at this place on this day? It is because 100 years ago, President Lincoln helped to free the people who were slaves. It was during the Civil War. President Lincoln knew that slavery had to end. Now it is 1963. There has been no slavery for a long time, but are black people and white people treated equally? No. I am American also, and that is why people are in Washington today. They have come to protest. They will speak out against something they think is wrong. In the South and in some other states, there are laws to keep black people and white people apart. Black people cannot eat in many restaurants or stay in many hotels. In movie theaters, they must enter by separate doors and sit way up in the balcony. On public buses, they have to take seats in the back. There are signs that say for whites only. Even water fountains say white or colored. So which of these fountains looks nicer to you? Black people and many white people want things to change. It is time for a change. It is past time for a change. In the crowd are some grandchildren and great-grandchildren of slaves. Many of these people have been part of protests before. They have been sit-ins in many cities. At sit-ins, black people take seats in white-only restaurants or theaters, and they refuse to leave when they are dragged out. Sometimes they are put in jail. There have been protest marches in many southern cities and towns. People hold signs, they sing songs. But what if everyone got together in one place to protest? That is the idea of two black leaders named A. Philip Randolph and Bayard Rustin. They picked Washington, D.C. as the place. It is the nation's capital. It is where laws are made. Laws are made. So on August 28th, 1963, at 11:30 a.m., the March on Washington begins. The crowd marches to the Lincoln Memorial. As they walk, the people sing, "We shall overcome, we shall overcome, we shall overcome someday." Later, there are many speakers. They stand on the steps of the memorial in front of Lincoln's statue. Each person talks about freedom. The marchers sit on the grass and listen. They know that today history is being made. By noon, the sun is very hot. Some people take off their shoes and cool their feet in the pool. Big bag lunches are sold. Each one has a cheese sandwich, an apple, and a slice of pound cake, all for 50 cents. The high point of the day comes at 3 o'clock. The crowd grows quiet. A young black man takes the stage. He looks at the crowd. There are people as far as he can see. And this is all because of the racism and discrimination. The man's name is Martin Luther King Jr. He is a preacher and the son of a preacher. He has grown up in Georgia. He knows all about what it is like to be a black person in the South. Dr. King is a man of peace, but he's also a fighter. He doesn't use his fists or weapons. He uses just words. In the South, Dr. King has led many other protests. One was a march in Georgia, another was a protest against a bus company in Alabama. He has been put in jail many times. There are threats against his life. Some people want him dead, but that does not stop him. Today in Washington, Dr. King speaks words of hope. His speech is about his dream for a better world. He says, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin." He hopes that people will see all children for who they are and for the things they do in their lives. It is his dream that one day little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and girls. Dr. King speaks for 16 minutes and 20 seconds. His voice rises and falls. The crowd leans forward. They want to hear every word. 9 times Dr. King says, "I have a dream." When Dr. King finishes, there is a silence. Then 250,000 people start to clap and to cheer. Some people are so moved by his words, they cry. People all around the world watch Martin Luther King Jr. on TV. So does President John F. Kennedy. By early evening, people start back to their cars, to the buses, and to the trains and planes. It is time to go home. The march has ended, but that is not the end of the story. 1 year later, a law is passed. It is called the Civil Rights Act of 1964. From now on, there cannot be restaurants for whites only. There cannot be separate seating for black people and white people in any public place. People cannot be kept apart just because of their skin color. It does not change everything, but it's a beginning. And the power of words, the words of Dr. King and others, changes the law of the land. There are people as far as we can see.